I'm super excited about today. I'm going to give just a little bit of time for people to get on, and then I'll go through the recipe. There are some beautiful things about this recipe. There's no oven. Hey. There's no flour, which I didn't realize when you guys picked it. And there's one other absolutely wonderful thing about this that I can't remember, but I'm sure I'll remember as we go. Because we've done some both. I don't know, every recipe I think it can be simple and complicated in its own way, and this is the same. But it's sort of nice. We're giving our ovens a break today. We're giving the flour a break today. So I'm excited. I'm excited that we're doing this. I'm always surprised with whatever you pick, and I didn't see cream pies coming. I did want to make sure that no matter which pie you picked, I did something new for myself too. Actually, I'll tell you about it. If you had picked a citrus meringue pie, I was going to go for grapefruit meringue pie, which I've never made before, in lieu of lemon. If you picked a Dutch fruit pie, and a Dutch pie is sort of your typical pie crust with a fruit filling, and then it's a crumble on top instead of a double crust or no topping. I was going to do pear because I've never done that before. And then if you picked cream pie, I was going to do a chocolate peanut butter cream pie, which is what and you guys don't have to have all the ingredients for that one because this is a choose your adventure pie day today to some extent. What I'm going to show you is a graham cracker crust, which you're sort of seasoned veterans in already, because you made a similar graham cracker crust for the s'mores cupcakes. And then we have a cream filling, sort of like a pudding filling. I'm teaching you how to make a basic vanilla one, and along the way I'll show you how to sort of spruce it up to whatever you're feeling, and then a whipped cream on top, which you can do or not. If you brought a pre-made graham cracker crust today, that's awesome. If you brought Oreos or vanilla wafers to the scene, that's awesome. I can't wait to hear what everyone is making. And then if you have like frozen whipped cream, what is that? Frozen cream topping, is that what they call it? If you brought that, or canned whipped cream, that's absolutely fine too. If you brought pudding mix, I mean, we're having fun and we're playing around. So let's get started. Let me show you our starting recipe. So simple crust. The cookie crumbs, I'm using chocolate graham cracker crumbs. You can use whatever you have or whatever you brought to the table today, to the kitchen today. For anyone else using graham crackers, it's going to be 10 sleeves, if that's 10 sheets of graham cracker, basically. And I'll come back to that, get out some aggression that we've been feeling. We've been cooped up. I did realize that one packet of these is 9 sleeves. I admit normally I'd fudge it, but crust, it's one of my favorite parts of pie, so I'm going to open a second one and do the full 10. You can crush this however you want. If you want to pull out a food processor, go for it. I am opting for the old bag 'em and crush 'em situation. You can use your fists. No judgment. You can just massage it. I'm going to use a rolling pin. You might remember doing this when we did s'mores cupcakes. Hello. You know what would be nice before we begin is to get our butter melted. So 6 tablespoons is what I said you should bring to the table today for the crust. It can't be too much, but it might not all be necessary. But this way you use a full stick of butter, which I thought was nice. So throw 6 tablespoons into the microwave, get it melted. And then we're going to use the other 2 tablespoons in our pudding for later. So keep that out, keep it soft. And that way, I don't know, it felt like it made it easier if you're using sticks today, sticks of butter. So I'm going to melt that and get aggressive. Let's get aggressive. Make sure the air's out of your bag or else you're going to be popping balloons. Oh, and for pie dishes, I think I have a 9-inch pie pan. If you're using, I like to keep old pie tins. And like if you're local and you ever go to Heidi's, banana cream pie, guys, my favorite dessert. Those are not, I just don't think those are 9 inches. Every time I try and make pie, and I use them, it's just I always have leftover filling. So if you end up with leftover filling today, that's totally fine. Just be careful when you're pouring later. that if you're using a smaller pie tin, you might have leftover crust or filling. Also, if you don't have a pie tin, I don't think that should stop you. Put this in a different pan. Put it in a square pan. You won't have the gradual edge. You don't need a gradual edge. You can just layer this directly in the bottom, put the pudding on top, and then the first scoop's gonna be rough, but it'll still taste delicious. So just don't let that stop you if you don't have a pie plate, or use it as an excuse to get one. I found this on sale at a Hamilton Beach store for $10, and it's sturdy. Okay, my butter is melted. I like fine crumbs with this. It's easier to put it in the pan that way. And you will. I admit that this is the perfect no oven, no flour day. I feel like we need like 10 bowls, so get ready. I'll try and tell you when you can reuse a bowl though, just to make it easier. Is anyone making anything interesting today? Just so you know, I've never made chocolate peanut butter cream pie before. We'll see what happens. I'm really excited about it though. My husband just made me banana cream pie for my birthday, so even though that's my favorite dessert ever, I thought I should try something new along with you guys if this is your first cream pie. So get your fine Grecian crumbs into a bowl, and we're going to stir together the sugar and the crumbs before we add the butter in, just to make sure it's cohesive. And the sugar quantity is 1/3 cup granulated sugar. We're going to combine these two, and then we'll add our melted butter. You can absolutely do the crust with Oreo cookies. Those I find easier to use a food processor with just because of the cream, but you can absolutely hammer it out by hand with Oreo cookies and do it exactly as I'm doing it right now. I love Oreo cookie crust. Mud pies on Maui with that Oreo. My favorite mud pie is Oreo crust, coffee ice cream, no macadamia nuts. I'm not a nut person. With chocolate sauce and whipped cream on top. To me, that's just, you can't get more perfect. An Oreo crust for this one with a coffee filling sounds so good. Oh, my butter exploded a little bit. If your butter exploded, you're not alone today. So did mine. Okay, I have a few big chunks, which I'm going to make finer by hand. And after we mix this together, and if you are nervous about too much butter, just add it in bit by bit. I'll add that much to start and see what you want is for it to come together. And because this is no oven, you're welcome to par bake this crust. Actually, you'd fully bake because we're not cooking the filling. Just like the s'mores cupcakes, I like to freeze my graham cracker crust, and I think all 6 tablespoons is safe. I'm using salted butter today. I don't have unsalted butter today. So if you are too, we'll just be light on the salt later. And if anyone has any questions, just holler, just let me know. And let me know if you're having any trouble with audio or visual. Okay, so now we're going to pour this whole thing into our pie tin. Just, I guess this isn't a tin dish. And I've seen people, I'm going to do this by hand. I have seen people use measuring cups to flatten this. I don't think I have a flat measuring cup, so that never works for me. Thank you. There's absolutely not such a thing as too much butter. Someone else says the secret of life. Amen. I think a lot of people will agree with us. Or I'm completely biased. The company's name is Butter in French, so yeah, I'm biased. Mine's coming together really nicely. What you want is it packed in firm. Now, the things, you know what I mean? Sometimes things don't work out, and that's absolutely fine. And that'll include maybe you cut into your crust later after your pie is rested, and it doesn't come out as a crust. It comes out as a bottom crumble. That should be a thing. Why aren't bottom crumbles a thing? Okay, I'm almost there. I can try. I'll show you what I mean by the measuring cup. I've got one that's sort of flat. The bigger the measuring cup, the easier. Because it's a flat bottom, you can press down a little bit better. and it's round, and so that helps with the pie plate. The thing is, then the sides, I don't know. This works. You know, I'm trying something new live, and it works okay. Unless you stick the side of it in the bottom. Okay. Okay, and now we're going to throw this in the freezer. So give it a good wrap and toss it in the freezer, and we're going to make our filling. And now you should know, and I don't have a swap out today, that we're going to make the crust and the filling, and then we're going to let all of that sit. And we'll make the topping before I sign off, but I will come back on either live or just on video later today to show you however mine turns out. Okay, right here. Give it a good wrap and into the freezer it goes. Now again, if you're using different cookies, that's absolutely fine. I'm just trying to make a peanut butter filling with a chocolate crust, doing something new. And the next part, it looks visually like there are a lot of ingredients, and it's not that complicated. Don't worry. Okay. Into the freezer, and we are going to mise en place. We're going to prepare all of our ingredients for this next part in advance, because it does move a little quickly, and it's always a good idea to get yourself together in advance. I'm going to swap out boards and clean my surface into my garbage bowl. If there's one thing you guys keep doing after watching these, I hope it's using a garbage bowl. I think they're the most magical things. Just the place to put and we're about to do it, the place to put the eggshells so you're not running back and forth from the garbage. You're not getting egg whites or yolks or anything everywhere. Okay, so next, let's get cracking on the filling. So what we're going to do is we're going to combine the heavy cream whole milk, granulated sugar, and salt. And where I have a pen right here. So these guys are going to go together in a saucepan. And then the eggs and the cornstarch are going to do their own thing, and these guys will come later at the end. So don't worry about the vanilla extract and unsalted butter. I'll leave this up. Why don't you guys get together these first 4 ingredients into a saucepan, and we don't turn it on, because we'll prep all our other ingredients first too. Now, I thought I might not have enough heavy cream, and that's actually okay. If you don't have enough heavy cream, don't freak out. If you have a different dairy, I don't know if alternatives would work in this case, but they might. I'm thinking of fat content as I say that, because we're using pretty high percentage fat ingredients today with this. 1 and 3. You know what? I'm actually short on milk, and I'm going to replace it with heavy cream, and that's going to make one rich filling. Just a 1/4 cup extra heavy cream for me. So if you're doing the same thing today, you're missing something, don't even sweat it. Okay. And then 1/2 cup granulated sugar. If you're having any trouble seeing the ingredients, please just give me a holler. I figured it's better for you guys to be looking at the ingredients than watching me at times like this. And then I'm going to put in a little less salt just because I'm using salted butter today. You're welcome to do whatever you'd like. And a new board. Alrighty. Okay, I'm back. How we doing? We've got our first 4 ingredients in. Next, we're going to be dealing with our eggs. We need egg yolks. So maybe get something to put your egg whites into, because they're actually useful egg whites. If you're making meringue, if you're making macarons, if you're making any meringue buttercream, for instance. Just saying. Okay. 4 egg yolks. Separate these however you wish. I think I've told you, I think it's easier to separate in shell, but it's technically not as safe with salmonella concerns. You're not in trouble if you get any white in your yolk. You're totally fine. There's no concern about that today. If you do get yolks in your whites and you do want to use them later, they won't whip. Just keep that in mind. That's excess fat that the meringue or whatever you're making doesn't want in there. Okay. Do you know where I learned that about egg yolks? I cannot believe this. Because I feel like that's, I don't know, maybe I've just lived under a rock. But I feel like that wasn't widely known. And then I was taking, oh goodness, a middle school, I don't know, what are those called? Common tests or whatever? And it was like reading comprehension, and we needed to just answer questions, not really that related to cooking without the risk of salmonella. It was just, it was for English. Same with pennies, but it stuck with me. So, hey, it really did their job. Okay, we've got our eggs on the side. You're going to get your cornstarch in with your eggs, and let's cube our butter as well for the end. It's important to have all this ready because you don't want to be sort of fumbling about, especially when you have something like milk on the stove. Oh, I cannot believe the only person who's overboiled milk before. So it's just the worst. It's like you were waiting for it to boil, you walked away for 1 second, and then it's everywhere, and it's hard to clean up. And there's technically sugar in it because of lactose, and it's just a pain. So get your butter cubed, and then we're going to get our cornstarch in. And so if you are making sort of a chocolate filling, you're gonna add the cocoa powder to the dry ingredients, or if you're using chocolate pieces, like you're cutting up chocolate chunks of, a bittersweet bar, that'll go in later. But right now, we're gonna put a 1/4 cup of cornstarch with the eggs and whisk that together. And then, if you're doing cocoa powder, which I'm not, I'm doing peanut butter filling with the chocolate crust. Then you will put in the chopped chocolate later and the cocoa powder now. Okay, 1/4 cup cornstarch, and we'll whisk this together, and we can turn on our burner. Medium is good. What we're looking for is to dissolve the sugar in here. And you can actually use the same whisk. It's not a problem. So whisk this together. And if you're using cocoa powder, it's going to be thicker than what we have here, and that's absolutely fine. Don't even worry about that. Okay. One more thing, if you have it, get a fine mesh strainer and another bowl. I know, guys, I'm so sorry. This is helpful. If you don't have a fine mesh strainer, don't worry about any of it. Just forget it. I guess you could bring a second bowl to the mix, but you really don't have to. That is just in case our eggs, and no one's perfect, our eggs cook a little bit before we want them to. Sometimes you can scramble eggs when you're doing custards or things like this. And so you'll get these little bits, and it's edible, it's not a problem. Sometimes it's a little unpleasant texturally. So I'm gonna strain my whole mixture once we're done. If you don't, that's totally fine. Trust me, your pie will still be good. You're bringing this just to a simmer, not to a boil. I got a new, this pan, this pot, it's new. I'm really excited about it. Okay. Look at us, all prepared. It's always good. I have 2 garbage bowls, I just noticed. That's how much I love garbage bowls. All right, we're getting there. If you're wondering about my apron today, new apron, Jane Austen Center in Bath in the United Kingdom. I'm a big Jane Austen fan. I'm actually reading Mansfield Park right now with my siblings, actually just with my sisters, though my siblings and I do have a book club. I think we're on like our 45th book now. It's a weird one, it was my choice. It's a set of French comic books called Valerian, which the movie was based off of. The movie tanked, The comic books were popular when they came out, I think in the 70s and 80s. I still watch the movie every year with my sister. Because you just, sometimes you just gotta do it. It did not develop the cult following it could have for being a not fantastic movie. Oh good, okay, if anyone has questions, I thought I saw a question pop up, just let me know. We're just letting the cream, we've got the milk, salt, and sugar, it's coming to a simmer, and then I'll tell you what's happening next. We're going to temper the egg yolks and cornstarch with it, and cocoa powder if you're making something chocolatey today. Anyways, yes, Jane Austen Center in Bath. It's really cool, actually. She's buried in Winchester, not in Bath. But she loved Bath, and so all of the quotes on my apron are from a different book by her, and that features Bath. I have not read all of her books. I've not read Persuasion. But a lot of people, I want to. One day I'm going to. But I highly recommend Bath. It's super cool. They've got a tour of the Roman baths, and you can pay £1 to drink it. And of course they did. I mean, when in Bath, drink the bath water. Okay. Mine's getting there. It's almost steaming, and steaming's good. Steaming's where we want to be. If anyone has questions. Oh, cocoa powder. If you're doing cocoa powder, anywhere from 2 tablespoons to 1/4 cup. If you want it chocolatey, do 1/4 cup. And if you're doing a combination, you can do maybe 2 tablespoons cocoa powder, and then later on when we're adding flavorings, you can do some chopped chocolate if you have anything. I'd say probably semi-sweet or darker is safe. I don't know about throwing milk chocolate in. The ratio there between cocoa and everything else is different. Okay. Oh, I used 2 whisks. I told you that, and then I used 2 whisks myself. I was like, oh, this is a little grating, this noise. I have a rubber whisk that I was going to use. Okay, it's just steaming, and that means it's time to temper. Now, be careful as you do this. What you're going to do is drizzle just a little bit, I don't know, maybe 1/2 cup, but you have to be whisking as you go. So you're going to be whisking your cornstarch and egg mixture, and then drizzle. What you're doing is you're trying to not get the eggs to cook, but we're going to, just in case, I'm going to strain it anyways. So you're trying to bring them up to the temperature before adding it all back in, and you will need a spatula here eventually. All right, just a little more, and then we're going to throw it all back in, and we're going to bring it up to a boil, and we're going to watch it thicken, which is pretty spectacular. Before this ever started, I was trying to look at the difference between a pudding and a custard, because I realized, and you're going to whisk as you put it back into, I realized I didn't know, and I was using them interchangeably, and I was curious. It's like the difference between spatula, it's great here, the difference between jam, jelly, and compote. I looked that up a few years ago. Okay. And I guess a custard doesn't use any starch to thicken. We're using cornstarch. You can use flour. For instance, I should have said that if you don't have cornstarch today, flour should work just fine because we're cooking. And I think 1 for 1. I mean, if it doesn't thicken, you can always add more. My brother recently taught me, and I don't remember the term, this technique where you mix, Jacob, you mix flour with butter until it becomes sort of this, like, clay. It's softer than clay, I guess, and you throw in little pieces and watch as it thickens and sort of decide when it's the thickness you like, and that's what we're going to do here. Now, you want this to set once it's in the fridge. So that's something to keep in mind. So this is too watery, for instance, and I think you can see how watery this is. It's just dripping. So we're looking for this to get thick. Now, the thickening agents in this, cornstarch for sure, and egg, actually. So custards only use eggs as thickeners, and they end up firmer. So I really got to look into that. I thought that was fascinating. I don't know, I love reading about this stuff. My dad always said growing up, like I swear he said this, he's probably gonna be like, Sarah, I never said that. I can see sort of mine clumping a little bit, which would be the eggs, but it is thickening, and we're going to strain, so don't freak out. My dad always said sort of like, if you want to learn about something, like, subscribe to a magazine and read it every month, you know? I do love Bon Appetit. Okay, mine is so nice and thick. It's gonna take about a minute or two. I just turned off my heat to make sure this doesn't scald, but it's still gonna thicken as it's still hot. Woohoo! And right now it's it'll be very plain. I think it shines once the vanilla is added, and I like a lot of vanilla, so I'm adding a lot today. And this is why I wanted our butter cubed, because of the process that's coming up. We're going to run this through the fine mesh strainer if you have one. If not, we're going to pour this into a bowl and then throw the butter in and throw the vanilla in. And then we're going to throw our flavorings in. And if you're just making a vanilla cream pie, awesome. That sounds delicious. Okay. Woohoo! This is good for me. So, next step, make sure you have a heat-proof spatula. You're going to either put this in a bowl or throw it through the fine mesh strainer, as I am going to do. And just so you know, your strainer will collapse. You just pick it right back up. You know what I mean? It's not the end of the world. Collapse being it'll fall into the bowl. I'm surprised mine hasn't yet. My bowl's just a little too big for the strainer. Get every good bit out of this. And again, this step is not necessary. It's just if you ended up with some cooked egg. Okay. And set this guy off. We're done with you. Guys, we're done with heat. I can't even believe it. That's one reason I was thrilled when you picked cream pie, because it's a little different than everything else we've done, which, if you're new to this, gosh, everyone's gonna have to help me. Week 1 we made scones. Week 2 we made Irish coffee cream puffs. Week 3 we made, oh my goodness, we did shortbread. Oh, right, custard pie's the best. I feel like it's underrated. I feel like, as a banana cream pie fan, I don't mean many other people who think banana cream pie is the absolute best dessert ever invented, no matter what. Okay, so we've got luscious, smooth cream, and literally what I'm going to tell you to do is just drop those pieces of butter right on top, and they're going to melt as we stir. So slowly, and I'm saying slowly so that it doesn't spray anywhere. And if yours isn't looking this thick, or you'll notice it'll loosen a little bit as the butter melts, that is what our chill time is for later. Everybody likes chill time, including cream pies. It just wants to chill out in the fridge. Okay. And now we're going to add in our vanilla. It's 2 teaspoons of vanilla, and that was 2 tablespoons of butter. Unsalted or salted, whatever you're doing today. And if anyone has any questions, that's why I lean over and stare at you guys. I'm just making sure I'm not missing anyone. So get your vanilla in here. Now, if you're making coconut cream pie today, there are some excellent coconut cream pie recipes where you use coconut milk. We're just doing basic vanilla. You can absolutely look those up, because I bet they're probably, if you're a huge coconut fan, even more stellar. Now's the time to add in your coconut, if you're using coconut, whether it's, I would recommend sweetened coconut. I exclusively buy sweetened flaked coconut for everything that I make, but it doesn't matter. If you're using melted chocolate, now's the time to add it in and let it, if you're using pieces of chocolate, now's the time to add it in and let it melt. And I'm using peanut butter, and I'm going to add that in now. I have sort of I don't know, maybe a 1/4 cup here. I'm going to throw in 2 tablespoons at first. Just see how, because again, it's my first time making this right now. I've never made a peanut butter cream pie before. Oh, it smells so good. Oh my gosh. I don't know, this peanut butter smells really strongly. I might call it a day with the amount that I added. Oh my goodness. What's everyone else making today? Did anyone bring berries to the scene? Or banana? We will get there. We will get there if you did. With berries, you can either put them in the base of the pie crust before pouring the pudding over, or you can pour the pudding in, chill it, and then right at the end, decorate with it. So it's totally up to you. Okay. Oh, it smells so good. So now, we're going to let this cool just a bit before we throw it into the pie crust. While we prep our whipped cream ingredients, we're gonna let this sit out, and then we'll throw it into the pie crust, into the fridge, and we'll actually do our whipped cream. One thing to note, these guys develop a skin and it can't be mixed back in or anything like that. So you actually want to press plastic directly to the top. And this goes for any sort of pudding or custard you're making. If you're making a pastry cream, you have to do this. And it seems gross, but trust me, it's the thing to do. And then give it another wrapping right over the top. If you have any on the walls is basically what I'm trying to avoid. And it won't cool as quickly this way, but that's totally fine. We just want it to come down a little bit before we toss it in a frozen crust. So just set it aside. Absolutely just set it aside. And let's get on with whipped cream. Now, with whipped cream, I think I'll do it by hand. I'm only laughing because is that really the right move? I'm so lazy with the stand mixer. I don't like whipping it out. I have 100,000 bowls. So whipped cream, let me get that back up for you. With the whipped cream, these are my measurements. Again, if you're using can, use the can. If you have a specific measurement you like, I like heavy vanilla and I like it sweetened. So it's just combine these in a bowl and whip them until however you like it. So if that's stiff, go for it. If you like it looser, that's fine. This will not be used until our pie has chilled. I just want to make sure it's prepped so that once the pie is ready, you guys can eat right away. Okay. And some vanilla. Also, if you're making a different type of whipped cream, if you're like going for, I don't know, an espresso whipped cream, go for it. What I'm always looking for is to give you a base for you to completely expand upon and make your own in every single possible way. So if I haven't done that, I've failed. So please make each part of this absolutely your own. And then I want to hear exactly what you've made, because I think that's the best part. Okay. And if you have any questions, always just holler out. And I will be whipping this by hand. It's literally, it's so funny because it's the same amount of, amount of tools, and yet, I don't know. Oh, I'm glad. If anyone is, yes, all of these videos, if you are just watching now and you're not baking along, that's totally fine. I like to do it this way because, I don't know, it's different when you're watching someone do something live. Plus, I don't know, hopefully it's humanizing. I do this for work and I make mistakes all the time. And who cares? That's fine. I mean, I care if it's for work. I fix my mistakes. Especially with home baking. Like, that's the chance to really play around. I am, if you're, I should say, if you are looking for the other, this is week number 6, you guys. If you are looking for the other videos, you can find them on the website under Bake Along Demos. You can find them on Facebook. Some of them are on Instagram, IGTV. The reason some of them aren't is because we went over an hour. My fault. And I'm not sure I want to edit them down from that. Oh my gosh, you're so sweet. I'm so glad anyone is enjoying this. I enjoy it. Trust me. Plus, you guys force me to sort of branch out and think of new ideas. I'm not sure about next week yet. I was, again, shocked you picked pie. Savory scones were the runner-up. So different. Pies or savory scones. I mean, it's really fun to know that that's sort of the breadth of the audience. So I'm thinking of putting that up. What I was thinking of doing is finally showing how to make puff pastry by hand. But instead of doing it live because it takes too long, I could actually just post the video at 2 p.m. next Sunday and then you guys can make it as you go. You could spend a week making one batch of puff pastry if you wanted to move that slowly. You can make a batch of puff pastry in a day. There's just a lot of resting, and we don't need to sit with each other for 4 hours. All right, mine, I like it. Yeah, like that. Okay. And I am flinging cream everywhere, and I am going to put mine in a piping bag for later so I can decorate later. But again, this won't be going on the pie yet. The pie has to chill. So what we're gonna do, I just wanted to make sure you had your whipped cream ready. We are going to fill our pies and do the fruit and whatever everyone is doing today. And we're going to put them in the fridge for 3 to 4 hours to make sure they set. In 3 to 4 hours, I'll either go live, finish it up, cut it, maybe it set, maybe it didn't, or I will post a video, but same thing, maybe it set, maybe it didn't. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. And I'm doing this because I'm gonna make it a little decorative. You can just leave this in the bowl, wrap it up, throw it in the fridge, and then like dollop it on per slice. I mean, do whatever you'd like. Okay. I'm gonna get this all set, and then I'm putting my whole bag into the fridge. I like to wrap the end in plastic, just so that air doesn't get in through that way, but it's typically not a problem, especially if you sort of test squeeze the first batch. I think I told you guys this, I can't find my pastry scraper right now, so you just use a spatula, and you can't see what I'm doing. Just use a spatula and get the whipped cream to the top of the bag. All right, fold this over, put a little plastic wrap on the end, and we will finish up our cream pies. Cream. Yes, you have to have patience when it comes to the last portion, just the waiting, but you can make this in a half hour in the morning and then have cream pie for dessert that night. Okay. So my whipped cream is gonna go rest in the fridge. And it's time to pull your crust out of the freezer, and I'll make some room for it. Garbage bowl, you guys. I have to make t-shirts that say garbage bowl on it. Someone this past week said, our motto while doing Beurre bake-alongs should be make a mess or something like that. Someone tell me what it was. I thought that was hilarious. And I totally agree, make a mess. This is your creation. Okay. Mine is still, my pudding, the peanut butter pudding, still a little warm on bottom. It's absolutely fine. And there's one thing about this portion, you don't have to worry about how you wrap it. Because after you've decorated it, that can be a problem. My recommendation, after we've made it beautiful, is you can put the pie dish, if you don't have a lid, into a deeper dish and wrap the deeper dish, and that works great. I'm using an offset again to spread it, remove both pieces of plastic. I don't know, you can try to reuse it. It just seems like a pain to reuse it. This smells like peanut butter heaven. I wish there were, why isn't that a thing yet? You need to be able to smell. This is so good. Pour it right in. Oh, get in this crust. It smells so good. Ooh. Okay. Get every bit out, guys. If you don't have a rubber spatula, that's something I tell you to immediately get a rubber spatula. It's the most useful thing. You want it to be flexible. It's very helpful. Okay, I'm gonna spread this. And then mine doesn't reach the top of the crust, but we're gonna add whipped cream. So don't worry about anything. You can have possibly done it wrong. If you are the person who has a pie tin that's not big enough to hold this, you can put it in a cup and put it in the fridge and eat it with whatever. Eat it for breakfast. Call it yogurt. No judgment. Now, if you are using bananas, I should have already mentioned this. You can put them in the bottom. You can put them now. You can put them in the middle. You can mix them into your pudding. Decorate with berries on top. Totally your call. If you are using coconut today and you want to decorate with toasted coconut, which you have time to do, take some coconut, 350 in the oven. I know you coconut people, you'll be using the oven if you want toasted coconut. And then, yes, it's keep a watchful eye, but in a different way. You want to stir the coconut every 5 minutes. It browns super quickly. But you can make some delicious toasted coconut. There are 2 other ways to make toasted coconut. Can't tell you how. Microwave. I think I've done it and it doesn't actually get crispy, which is all I'm looking for with toasted coconut. Yes, buy a rubber spatula, absolutely, and any type. I recommend 2 different types. Heat proof. Get a heat proof spatula. There's almost no reason to have a spatula if you can't use it on the thing. But this one, for instance, this says butter, y'all. I think it was my mom and sister were eating at Paula Dean's restaurant. I have a butter, y'all apron too. This one is half spoon and straight edge, rounded edge. Something like this works. And then any heat proof spatula, even if it's just uniform, get it. Absolutely. Okay, same trick here. This will form a skin too. We're not out of the woods. Until you put whipped cream over the whole pie, you're not really out of the woods. So it has to set. Let it cool down, then you'll be good. You do want to make sure every inch of it is covered with plastic, and then throw a second sheet of plastic over the whole thing. Right here. If you have a hot stove, don't put plastic on it. Okay. Oh, the crust is cold. There we go. And then this goes into the fridge, and you're looking at about a 3 to 4 hour wait. If you're on specific time, it'll be ready in time for dessert. And if you're on any other time, eat dessert all hours of the day. Who cares? We're still in quarantine. Oh, I have berries. I guess I could have made a vanilla one with berries. I liked that I tried something new today. Otherwise, we're done. I can't even believe it. Look at that. What is it? 42 minutes, and we're already done. We've got a pie in the refrigerator. Don't know about freezing this, so you know, with leftovers. It is best eaten day of. Absolutely keeps for a few days. There's something about it. I don't know why it doesn't taste quite as strong, but it keeps. Don't just throw it out tomorrow. And I will be back, and we will decorate mine and pull it out and see what happens and try it and everything. I'll probably do it in 3 hours. I'll check it, and then I'm feeling like I won't go live again, but I will post a video on Facebook and Instagram. And otherwise, does anyone have any questions before I go? Me either. I'm super excited to see what this looks like. Like, we'll see. It smells heavenly, the peanut butter chocolate. I'm really glad I did it. And if anyone's having any trouble or anything, you can DM me or tag me in a post or right through the contact page on the website and send a video of the mess that is what's happening in your kitchen right now because of something I said. If you're not on the email list, I'm launching a new product. If you didn't hear the announcement from last week's email, I'm announcing it on social media sometime this week. I'm super excited about that. You definitely want to sign up. Go to the contact page of beurrepastryshop.com. That's Beurre, this guy up here. Pastryshop.com. The new product is so fun. I'm really excited about it. It's a cookie, spoiler alert. And it's fun. I was in the grocery store buying some stuff, and I saw this thing, and I was like, that has to go in a product, and so it's in a product. Otherwise, show me your results in a few hours. If I see any pictures of pies now, I'll know that you cheated, or goodness, you cut, and maybe it worked, and that's amazing. But in a few hours, send me your results. I want to hear what you made and how it went. And I will see you next week in one way or another, if it's puff pastry in a pre-recorded video or something else. But thank you for joining. I'll probably, if not next week, I'll see you back live in 2 weeks. So we'll see. But until then, stay connected at Beurre Pastry Shop on Facebook and Instagram. And you can always hit the website if you need to contact me or you want like shipping or deliveries or anything like that. I'll talk to you later.